challenging part about adding a complication. And by a complication, I mean doing like one more thing on top of that. The second you have it down, as long as you keep drumming, you always have it down. And then, as long as you have that down and like knowing what that feels like, whatever it is, you can put that on a different part of the beat, and your body already knows what it is, right? So, as an example, if the drum beat was dig it, I can make it dig it, dig it, dig it. You see that? I shifted it because your body already knows what dig it feels like, and so then you can just start that somewhere else instead, right? So when you're hearing these drum beats, like I would encourage you to go listen to your favorite song, and then like analyze, like, okay, what did they do to that bass drum, right? So that sheet, this sheet shows you boom, boom, gook, boom, boom, to doo-dook, doo-dook. So that's an example of once you have this thing down, we can just move it, right? And your body already knows. So the pattern of learning can be temporary or endless. Okay, so if you're just drumming, if you love AC/DC, if you love Guns N' Roses, if you love
Five Finger Death Punch.
Sure, any one of those common bands, you probably don't need to advance any more than learning what we're going to learn today. Isn't that crazy? Any country music you'll ever listen to, you can play it with the beats that we're going to learn today. If you want to go to something like Rush, I know not a lot of you probably know what Rush is. If you want to play rap beats to your favorite hip hop, okay, now we're going to need to learn complications, because that stuff's a lot of, like if you've not listened to rap, it's a lot of syncopation. So we're going to add one level today of counting. We're going to learn how to count again. And we're going to add one more level of understanding the sheet music, okay? So the first one, we just played the basic drum beat. Can you play the basic rock beat for me? Can I pick on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, try it. Let's see what you got.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, when you hear that beat, usually there's one more element that goes doom, sha, right? Have you ever heard that? And that's the hi-hat. So, can anyone do it with that hi-hat? I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's hard to describe. Okay. All right. So what we're working on is this sound. So it's this. Okay. In a lot of music, right? You've got that psha. It can be in different places. Okay, so we're adding one whole new thing. I'll have you guys switch seats again. And where and how do we do that? So in music, it's a little bit confusing. Now, you can add this anywhere in your music that I gave you. But you see these little parentheses X's? Remember how the X is your symbol? So this is a little bit confusing because this is where it closes. Okay? So what I played, if we go boom, boom, ka, right? You see that's where it closes. Remember, it's just like how you hit something, but that implies that it has to be open. Right? Now, do you want it open the whole time? No. Right? But it needs to be, because it needs to be closed on those other beats, right? Right? So what you have to think about this little parenthesis, and by the way, I'm telling you this because I have some books that could guide you through the process of any kind of beat that you want, very simply. But what you have to think about it as Now I have 1 and 2 and, right? And did anybody not bring their sheet music with them? When we're lining things up, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to line up that very kind of complicated thing. So here's what we have to think about. I'm going to eliminate this guy from our practice today, and we're just going to keep it 1 beat. And we'll just keep this 1 beat. Okay? You have to think about it as opening here. So I'm going to write open, close. So if I open on the and close on the 2, that's what we have to do. All right? Now the tricky thing is you're hitting down with your left hand while opening. Right, you're hitting down with your right hand while you're opening your left foot. Does that make sense? So that's, I said muscle memory, right? You're like, okay, now I have to lift. Up to this point, everything's been coming down, right? So let's really slowly, what that sounds like, do you remember the sha? So close your hi-hat. I want everybody to first hit the first beat. So let's hit the first beat like you're going to play this rock drum beat. So get in position. If your hi-hat isn't in a position where you can close it, get it so that you can. Is everybody comfortable? All right, so everyone keep it closed tight. So let me just hear your hi-hat. Just keep it closed tight. Everyone hit it. Is that working okay? Do it again. Okay. Now when you hit it, when you hit this, we are going to open it at nearly the same time. What that looks like is it's basically closed when you hit it, and then you open it. So let's do that. Let me hear you go. So you gotta keep it closed and then open it. So we're gonna do this in pattern. I want everybody to play eighth notes. So we're gonna go everybody together. So I'm going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and keep going. Keep going while I'm talking to you. Now, when we hit the and, right, because we're just doing the top line, aren't we? On the and, you're going to lift your foot, which feels like lifting your foot at the exact same time your stick lifts, right? So, you see that? So your foot's coming up on the and. So when I say and, lift up, and when it's 2, it comes down. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So keep going. You gotta keep that drum beat. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Good. 1 and 2. Good. Keep going. Keep playing. 1 and 2. Good. 1 and 2. Is that opening? No, not really. I want you to look at this. Play 1 down, and then I want you to hit and open. Hit with it closed. And you open on it. It's a little complicated. So let's try this. I'm gonna guide you. So 1, we're gonna keep it closed. 1 and. So again, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Do it yourself. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Good. See? Don't get frustrated. Right? Right? You started to get frustrated. I seen it. It's all muscle memory. Now you're doing it, right? Beautiful. So everyone together. 1 and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 2, 1, and 2, and one too many times, right? 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 2. Keep going. 1 and 2. Now here's the deal. You guys are all playing it right up to here, right? But what happens on 2? On beat 2. On beat 2, at the same time your foot's coming down, what also comes down? The snare drum, right? One more complication. Let's try it slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And on 2 we hit the snare. And it's the same time your foot comes down. Right? It's one more thing. Now I will tell you a cheating way to do this. I want everybody to think like you're walking down the park. Right? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So with your feet right now, I just want you to walk. So we're going to go kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat. So leave your hi-hats all closed. And we're going to go boom, boom, boom. Ready, go, kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat, kick, hi-hat. Somebody give me hi-hat. Dot, 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 dot. Thank you. Dot, 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 dot. See that? Dot, dot. Everybody on hi-hat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're just walking. Okay, stop. That's what it will sound like. All right. Now, that walking motion is just 1, 2, 3. So, what some people try to do when they learn drums is they try to do it that way. That's not how we learn drums. Remember what I said last week? You have to line up all of the complications, because if you think that's complicated, hang on, baby. Right? It gets too complicated. So that's why we always come back to music, and the temptation is, well, I just want to do it. You can't just do it, because what if we added ding, 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 ding? Like, you can't line that up, right? So you got to be patient with yourself. So this beat, remember when I sat down last week and I showed you how I learned a mambo and how it just sounded like nothing? What I wanted to do is show you how complicated this can get. And if you keep making the same mistake, now some of you were trying to follow along and it didn't sound right, right? Could you recover? No, you couldn't. Actually, you can't, because you can't, once you're doing it wrong, you can't rewrite that thing, not unless you're really good, you know? So we're going to take this and we're going to go real slow. I know it's not going to feel like a drum beat. Last week, one of the most important things that I said was, if you go slow enough correctly, you will be able to speed it up within doing it 8 times, and you'll be right on. So I was watching all of you play the basic beat. You all have the ability to do it. Some people can get it quicker. Some people have been drumming, and it's like, oh, I got this, right? So I'm going to have you switch spots on this one, if you don't mind, just for a minute. I'm going to let her take over for just a second. I'm going to have, let's see, who kind of has that down? Who kind of has it? You got that? Can you switch with this young man for just a second? Then just do it kind of virtually. Who also kind of has that open close down right now? All right, everybody else just stay put for a second. So we're going to go real slow again, but it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 and 3, and 4, and 1. All right, so everybody just forgot everything I told them. What happens on 1?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to play this beat, okay? If you're not on a kit, pretend you're playing the beat, because it's going to be important. So I'm going to put you at the kit next. Play this beat. On 1, 2, 3, 4. This is on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on and, we're going to hit and then open. So we're going to go so slow, here's the problem, that your hi-hat's not going to sound right. Why? Because this is going to be hanging out in the air. But what I want you to think about is just doing what I tell you. Don't worry about how it sounds, because it's going to probably sound like a hot mess at this stage in the game. Right? Because if you let your hi-hat open and just ring, you're not going to get the psha. That happens at a speed, but you don't worry about that, okay? Just worry about the motion. So, everybody down on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and... Okay, so on 2, we are hitting the hi-hat down, we're hitting the snare down, and we're closing. Right? Does everybody get that? So let me see you. Everybody lift your hi-hats. In your mind or whatever, if you're sitting, have your foot up. Everybody have your foot up. Foot up, everybody foot up. Get in position. All right, good, 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 good. Now, I want everybody, when I say 2, I want you to think about, and think about it right now, close your left foot. Hit your left hand, right? So those are going down together. So everybody just drop them together. 1, 2. Again, open your hi-hats. 1. Again. 1. Oh, we're gonna hit that one too. So 1. Yeah. Now, all of it, so we want the hi-hat together, the snare together, the foot together. Think about that. Think about putting them all down together. It's going to go like, everything's going to hit. Ready? 1. Okay, open your hi-hats again. 1. Let me see your hi-hat open over here. Is that it? Okay. 1. Again, 1. Good. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but I want hi-hats going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And when we hit 2, we're going to close it, but we're going to go really slow. 1 and 2, let's hear the hi-hat clicking. And 1 and 2. Okay. Left hand on the hi-hat. That sticks perfect. Like 1 and 2 and... So everybody's hi-hat. Give me a hi-hat. Now, don't worry about the clanging for all you parents out there. It's like, what in the world is he doing? We're just focusing on beat 2 right now. That's this thing lining up. Now, normally at home when you're learning this, you don't have to worry, right? Some of you are way too worried about people thinking about what you sound like or what's going on. Trust me, there's a method to the madness, okay? Drums is basically controlled chaos. All right, so I just want that hi-hat open. Okay? Now some of your hi-hats are open farther than others. When I say 2, what do we do?
Close it.
Close it, hit the snare, right? Like, shot, all together. You guys have done that. So what I just want is a placeholder for the beat. That's why we're hitting the hi-hat. 1 and 2, ready? Everybody follow my snap with your hi-hat. Perfect, yeah. Now, 1 and 2, yes! Get that? You see that? Stop. Right? That's what it feels like. Did everybody feel that? So, when we're at home practicing this, hint, 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 that's what that feels like. But what it's gonna sound like is garbage. Because you're like, right? It might go that slow. Don't get frustrated, it just might sound like chaos until it speeds up. You follow? So your guys' hi-hat sounded terrible. I know, you're welcome. I'm really complimentary. But right, like nobody, you do sometimes drum like that. There's some beats where you kind of leave that open and it's just really raw. But it's usually at a faster speed. So, all right, now, for those of you now sitting down, and if you don't have a drum set, just do it virtually. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to have everybody on 2. Close your hi-hat, hit your cymbal, hit your snare. 1 and 1 and good. Very good. You weren't even on a drum set and you got it down. 1 and 1 and 1 and good. You guys feel that? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go hi-hat beat. Everybody's going to play the hi-hat beat like I had everybody. So leave your hi-hats up. Hit that hi-hat as light as possible for me. It's the other thing about drumming, you got to control your drumstick. One of the ways we control the drumstick so that your ears aren't blown out. So do you see how small this young guy here is hitting that? Look how high he's lifting his stick. The easiest way to control your volume on the drum set is to only lift it a little bit. If you're lifting from up top and then you're getting more velocity, it's a lot louder. So, everybody only lift your hi-hat maximum of a couple inches. And I want 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and dang, that's quiet. You guys are good, right? See, your parents would all let you probably have acoustic drum sets in the house if you could do that. 1 and 2 and 3. Whoa, 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 whoa. You have Red Bull this morning? 1 and 2 and 3. Play 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. We're just hitting the hi-hat right now. Don't worry about hitting anything else. 1 and you can hit it harder than that, please. 1. I want to be able to hear it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. So when I say 2, we're going to hit our snare and we're going to close our foot. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. So keep doing that hi-hat. Is your hi-hat open enough?
I think it's.
So leave this open. Leave that open. So let's do that. 1 and 2 and hi-hat. Go. 1 and good. Let's hit it a little harder. 1 and 2 and yep. And I'm going to correct some posture. Let's do that. Let me see how you're hitting it. That's not how I showed you how to hold your drumsticks last week. All right. No. Get them up here. All right. Okay. Let me look at your drumsticks. Virtually, how would you be doing it? Okay. Yep. Okay. How are we doing this over here? All right. Pretty decent. All right, one, so we're gonna do eighth notes. 1, 2, ready, go. Open, oh, hit it, hit, 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 hit. Boy guys, look how quickly you decided to control your volume. That's amazing. Good, now on 2, we're gonna close the foot and we're gonna hit the hand like we were doing, okay? 1 and 1 and 2, yes, and 1 and 2 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 and 1 and good and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Get that? Now, keep going. When I say 1, that kick drum goes down. You see this chart? 1 and 2. You guys were already doing that all last week. We're going to go slow, okay? When I say 1, we only hit the kick and the hi-hat. When I say 1, only hit the kick and hi-hat, right? 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so you see how that works? Try it again. 1.
Do we have our hi-hat closed on?
We're going to leave it open right now. 1, 1, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so I think most of you have the basic premise, right? Like, oh, got it. Down. So everyone down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So we're gonna, when we hit 1, we're gonna hit this line. My whole goal is to show you how to read the music, not get the drum beat. If you can read the music and understand what the music says, I promise you, you will have the drum beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now, when I go over, just like last week, we're going to do just this. So 1 and 2 and 3. We'll go all the way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay? Now, at home, this is going to take some work. Now, if you don't have a hi-hat at home, which this is why we need kind of that psha, psha, because there's a lot of variations of psha, okay? And there's ways that you can make it sound differently depending on how you hit it. Okay, that'll make it a little harder. So that open close, can I borrow this drum set for a minute? All right. So, I want you to hear how tight this hi-hat is. Okay, you hear that? Or, see the difference, right? There's a huge difference in how that sounds. So, right, that openness. Right, there's a difference. different. So when you're listening to music, a lot of people like ignore how their foot is actually sounding. So when we're sitting at a drum set like this, there's a lot to be said. So a lot of people come in the store and they've got that basic rock beat down that you guys got. And it might sound like this, and they come in and they think the whole store wants to know about it. So they're like, and it just sounds horrible, right? Versus, right? There's a tightness to that. And so how we hit our drums is as important as when we hit our drums, okay? If I have a tom and I'm like poking it, like this, you hear how that sounds? And it's actually, if I hit it hard at an angle, I'm gonna dent my heads, versus if I come down flat, hopefully you guys can see that stick coming down flat, that's a different sound. Hear that? Versus, it's not a sound thing, right? There's a difference. So this hi-hat, hit cut, okay? There's a difference in how we hit it. So having that foot closed, 1, and then we hit it again, 2, right, that 1, that's the sound, 1, open, close. Everybody join me. Okay, that speed is what I would probably use, if you guys just visualize that. That speed I would probably use to really get that hi-hat beat down, all right? But it's not easy. I'm telling you that because it doesn't come like suddenly naturally. You have to learn the mechanical thing. I've sat at some drum sets where the hi-hats are like really wonky. And so this is just more of a maintenance note about hi-hats. Hi-hats can be, like, if you think about this drum beat, right, it's obvious which piece gets hit the most. It's your hi-hat. And in fact, if you're listening to a song, right, you can create the whole feel for the band with your hi-hat. How important is it that your hi-hat sounds good? Right? You gotta get that down. You gotta get that control. And so if you kind of look at people's different hi-hats that they're sitting on here, and you'll see different distances of how close that hi-hat is, okay? If you have your hi-hat spread out like this young man, that might be a little bit harder. If you have it a little bit more closed, it might be a little more difficult to get the like that open and closed, right? If it's not open enough, it's hard to get the sound that you want. If it's too open, then it might be like clang. Okay, so if you have a hi-hat, on electric kits, generally that can be adjusted. It can also be adjusted on acoustic kits. Okay, so you probably could maybe adjust it, but that sound is something important to get down once you have everything lined up, okay? Now again, it sounds better and it sounds more controlled the faster we go, but we can't be in a hurry to go fast. So, on your sheets that you have, right here under the third hi-hat, in line with the snare, right under the line, I want you to make an X with parentheses, just like I drew. There you go. Oh, you got it? Perfect. Yep, that's right. Okay. So then,
My pen
yep, X, parentheses. Pen will work? Golly. Try that one.
I can't write.
good. Everyone got that? Now, good. So now do that on the other beat that has the snare, beat 4. So that's going to be right here. You see this other mark right under that snare beat? We also do it here. Now, I will tell you one of the things that was helpful for me when I was kind of getting more complicated drum beats down is I would actually put like something to designate open, close. Like you could put a, if you didn't want to write open, close, you know, you could do this. To help you know where to open. If that's helpful for you to line it up, do that. If you can remember it in your mind, like, okay, I know that, and the reason is because sometimes you go so slow that you don't even see that X coming. Does that make sense? Like, you're like going ding, and so if it's not lined up, telling you exactly what to do, you're gonna forget. The hope of me telling you this is that you all continue so much that you need that advice, okay? You need to know when to open. Opening is as important as closing, okay? Now, one of the things that I do when I'm drumming is I line it up with the beat. So if I'm opening, okay, if you think about your foot's closed on beat 1, right? Everything's closed. 1, and then I go to open, and right, my foot, 1, and that foot is coming up with my stick, down with my stick. Okay, so it's like when I'm going, if this is my foot, and I'm going 1 and 2. You see how that follows? 1 and 2. So visualize that in your head right now with your hands. Just visualize 1 and 2. So there's this thing where on the and, right, it's just the and 2. Because on the and, your stick comes back up, right? 1 and 2. Everyone visualize 1 and 2 and 1, right? It comes together. So as a clock, when you're going that slow, you got to think about that. So your foot isn't just raising at some random rate. Put it in time with your left hand, and that just lines it up. Does that make sense? Lines it up, makes it tight. Okay, so that's the hi-hat. Now, there's one other thing that we haven't really covered. And this is 16th notes. I'm going to tell you this because sometimes you'll be listening to music, or maybe you look up drum beats, I don't know, and you hear gotta, ch, gotta, ch, gotta, ch, or right? Those kind of beats, this counting gets really important because we've covered eighth notes, quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. Eighth notes, there's 8 in a measure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's going on with this measure? That doesn't belong there. I did that last week. Okay, there's 8 in a measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? Every beat has an and, that's 8. There's something in between those beats. How do we count it? How do we count 16th notes?
1 and 3.
Thank you. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and What it's doing is it's subdividing even more, right? So if you had to play then that's 1 E. And so that helps you go 1 E and 2 E, right? It's like one more level of subdivision. So when you see notes that are that have a second flag, like that, that designates that they're actually on the 16th. So if we made a measure out of 16th notes, instead of doing it like this, it would actually look like this. Here's the E's and the U's. And you can see the difference. Da 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 that's the da 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 da 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into that's what you're hearing. So that is really, really, really important. And again, just like we went really slow today, hopefully by week 4 we'll have a beat that has some of these. But I just wanted you to introduce you to the concept of counting. Okay, it's really, you're in school, right, playing? And they haven't showed you ENDAs yet? Okay, and what grade are you in? 8th grade, right? So some of you are not in the 8th grade. Like, who's in the 5th grade? Holy buckets. Who's in the 6th grade? 7th? So I want to keep that in mind, right? You want to learn drums 4th grade? So you, like, if you're getting frustrated or whatever, don't be, right? Think about it. 8th grade, the school's still like, well, let's not get too crazy about these 16th notes right now, okay? I have seven-year-olds playing crazy complicated 16th beats. It's not an age thing. It's being patient and lining it up. Just lining it up, lining it up. You'll get there. So, that is what you're hearing when you're listening to music. And when I said you can play any beat that you probably listen to in modern music, it's either a variation of quarter notes. Quarter notes were where it's ga, 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 right? Ga, 1, and I was playing that with that hi-hat open, right? A lot of times you'll hear it on a crash cymbal. It's very simple. You'll hear 8th notes and you'll hear 16th notes. Lining it up is the key. Especially if you're like younger, like a lot of you guys are, or you've never done it. I don't have my heel down when I play, because this part of your leg, your forward calf, is weak a lot of times. Now, if you're trying to play quiet and you're strong enough, one way to control the overall volume is to keep your heel down and think about just hitting your kick drum with your toe. But these springs adjust how hard that is to kick down, right? So if you think about this as my foot, I actually rest my the ball of my foot here, like that, and then my heel is up, and I do this. I never put my heel down. I'm actually kind of slamming my heel down with my calf to get that thing to move. That's how you hear drummers go super fast. It's really hard to go fast with your foot flopping, because you just don't have the speed. I can go as fast as a double kick drummer most of the time, just using that leverage and having my foot halfway on the pedal. But it's a feel thing, right? This one felt different than that one, right? But you know how to line them up. Have I not checked anyone else's drum beats? Okay. All right, so some of you are naturals. Some of you, some people are drummers, and they're also like, oh, you gotta line, right? Yeah. So I don't want you to think, well, I'm too young for that, or man, I just can't get it. Yeah, you can. You sure can. I mean, it's just a matter of taking the time to do it. I can have every single one of you playing the drum beats that you want to play. Be patient with yourself. Don't be afraid to go slow. Did you see how slow I went with some of you? When we went slow, right, then we sped up a little faster, right? I'm telling you, for me, learning drum beats, I've been drumming since I was 13. I can play some crazy cool drum beats. I've got a lot of multi-limb independence. I could probably play any music that you throw down in front of me. And still, if I just randomly put notes here to make a drum beat, you know how fast I'm going to go to learn it? It'll be like, okay, it's like, ga, ga, right? I got to go slow. I have to line it up. Now, once I line it up and I know the muscle memory, I can go way faster than all of you would be able to go once, like, the muscle memory was down. But even drumming my whole life, I still have to go slow to line it up. So don't get frustrated if you're not getting it. Go slow, line it up, make yourself go slow 8 times. So by 8 times, I mean through the measure once. So slow that you don't make mistakes. Through the measure twice. So slow that you don't make mistakes. Through it, right? 8 times through the measure, and then you'll be able to kick it out, okay? Now, the sheets that you have that I gave you, none of those complicated beats in the middle have hi-hats. See that? Get the first one down so good that the hi-hat's down. Get it down. Then, on the second one, right in the hi-hat marks, get it down. When it's really down good, this is important, this is the tricky part. This is how I know I've learned a drum beat. When I get this one down, the second one, I will then play the first one and then try to play the second one without stopping and play that. And then go back to the first one like you, because in music, you'll have the verse that somebody's singing, and then you have a chorus, right? The verse and the chorus, most of the time, use a drum beat that's kind of similar, but always a little different, because it adds interest. So like if I'm learning a beat, I might learn the beat, but I always try to add the beat to a different beat that I'm doing and go back and forth so that then I know, okay, I've got it down. I can play that beat on demand, I can play that beat on demand, and I'll do it together, right? So I'll go boom. If you look at your music here, boom, da, boom, ga, and then I'll go boom, boom, ga, boom, boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, ga, and I'll be in the practice of doing 2 different drum beats, okay? So you have 10 beats, all different variations of lining things up. Some will come easier, some will come harder. You can add the hi-hat to that. The amount of time that you dedicate today right after this lesson, and then tomorrow morning, once you've kind of already got it in your head, and just take a few minutes to do it, is really important. If you're running out of time, at the end of your day, 10 minutes before bed, grab your sheet, try to get a new beat down. The next morning when you wake up, see what's happened in your brain, try it again, see what happens. That's the quickest time to learn the beat. Okay? That's from my experience. You kind of process it, okay? So as long as you're doing 5 minutes every day or 10 minutes every day, you'll have it down. If you don't do it for 4 days, your brain has atrophied for 3 days. Okay? It's just how it is. If I'm playing a gig, I have to warm up. I've got to get my limbs going. I've got to get my brain all working together. No matter how long I've drummed, you just go backwards if you don't play 5 minutes a day. Okay? Does that make sense? It's like running. Saying, well, I used to run a marathon doesn't do any good if you haven't ran in 3 weeks. Okay? You just won't be able to do it. All right, that's the lesson.